Okay, what's going on, guys? And welcome to a brand new episode of Energized. Ross, we just got a whole lot stronger.
We did. We have Tiernan Bradley, who's making his pro boxing debut this Saturday in Poland. Tiernan, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Can't wait to fly out to Poland. As I spoke to you earlier, smash and grab job. Get in there and get out with the win, and then hopefully be out before the end of the year for my second fight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So you're
This
ready
is
to
the
just,
second.
you're just like ready to go, and then like you just don't want to leave the ring.
Yeah, well, it's only a 4-rounder for my first fight, so it is going to be very quickly, and I plan to do it very quickly. I'm not being paid for overtime, as they would say. I'm hoping to get in there in the first or second round and just get it over and done with. I've been waiting a long time for this, and I just can't wait to get in there and show everybody my talent that has been wasted for the last 2 years.
Yeah. Tiernan, who actually looks after booking your fights? Because I saw the O'Rourke gym went over to, I think it was Valencia in Spain, and did a number there. I think the guys, if you include Dylan Moran in there, went 4-0. And now you're flying over to Poland, even more of you. And I expect you to also come out with, I think, what is it, 8-0 over here now?
Yeah, so that would be Slater Sports Consultancy. That's who we work closely with the Rocks Gym. But yeah, like even in Spain there, with a few great wins, and we're hoping to do, what is it, 8 or 7 fighters on in Poland, but including Dylan Moran. Well, Dylan Moran's not in our gym, but he does work closely with us, and he works closely with Slater Sports Consultancy. But yeah, I'm hoping just get a flush of fighters to win. So yeah, we're all buzzing for it.
Yeah, and from a fan's point of view, it's actually brilliant to have so much young Irish talent all on the one card, because you can watch the card from start to finish, and you're just getting Irish fight after Irish fight. Sometimes you might be watching a card, and an Irish fella might be fighting the second fight, and then they might be fighting the co-main event, and you're sitting there watching 2 hours of boxing of like a fella from the UK fighting a fella from Latvia who you don't really care about, you know what I mean? But like, this is going to be like harsh, Irish after Irish.
That's a bit harsh.
Yeah, well, that's not even that. Like, it's going to be great for all the streamers back home. Everybody tuning in, because they are tuning in. For the Irish fighters. For everybody back home. So yeah, it's great to have like an Irish fighter after Irish fighter after Irish fighter. And I reckon it's going to be a fantastic show. Some of the talent that's on there, with Ryan O'Rourke going into his 5th fight, and then Tony Brown having his debut, Victor Rabbi going on 10-0, Dylan Moran having, his 15th fight. So yeah, we just can't wait to get in there and perform to the best of our abilities, because we have been training hard, and we've had some shows have been cancelled, and it's been frustrating. But we're just happy to get out and show everybody the performance and the hard work that we've been doing over the last 12 to 14 weeks.
Yeah, Ross, it's also great for like people that like also follow our show, but also fans of boxing, that there's so many people associated with our fighting on the card that like for instance, like Tiernan's fans and Dylan's fans would like mesh, and then they become fans of each other and everyone else on the fight card as well. It's actually great for Irish boxing as a whole.
Oh, definitely. I think it's almost like another wave of Irish boxing coming through. You know what I mean? We were only talking about it last time with Dylan on. You know what I mean? There's unbelievable boxers all around the country, and Irish boxing is really coming to the forefront again. We have all the guys in O'Rourke stream. You have the McKenna brothers, John O'Carroll, and then like obviously Katie Taylor like leading the way, world champion. So look, I think Irish boxing is probably as hot as it ever is.
Oh, definitely.
And tell us this now, Tiernan. Your brother's also a professional boxer. Yep. Who's going to get that world title first? I always love a bit of friendly brotherly rivalry. I have 2 brothers myself, and I know what it's all about. So tell us, who's going to get the world title first?
Well, like I'm 2 years older than my younger brother, so I reckon I'll be pushing for titles before him. Like he's still learning. He's still got a few learning fights to go, and MTK are managing him great. you know, he's going to step up at the right time, and he's going to win his titles at the right time. And he's got a lot to learn, you know. And I think that's what the most exciting thing is, that he has a lot to learn because of how mature and how good of a fighter he is now. And to think of what he's going to be like when he matures when he matures and gets that experience, it is scary, you know. But yeah, but I'm hoping to be going for a title in the next year or so. So yeah, I'm hoping that I'm going to be the first one to go for a world title, or there will be some slagging going on.
And you get Carl on the undercard, do you?
Oh yeah, I can be on the co-main event.
But come here, like how did you? Is it just you and your brother, or do you have any other brothers or a sister?
Yeah, I have an older brother as well. So he's been doing coaching. Hold on one second. I'm just gonna let this one out. And there, he's been coaching Callum.
Yeah.
As a professional fighter, and along with my amateur coach Adam Hunter. He's been doing Callum's corner for the last 4 fights. Adam and my older brother Aaron. Then I've got an older sister as well. She's the oldest.
Yeah, and did you all just start boxing one after another, or was it just the brothers?
Yeah, well, I think it was my grandfather was a boxer, and his brothers as well. They were all very athletic men back then. My grandfather was a coach in the local boxing club as well for 20 years. But yeah, then when I was a kid, I played football, and my older brother started a boxing club, and I was around maybe 7 years of age, and Aaron was around 10. And my dad just says, "Do you want to go to boxing?" And I was like, "What is boxing?" So, and then obviously I went to the boxing club, and I was there for maybe a year and a half, and I hated it because I was this small, fat kid that was always put in with the heavier lads.
Yeah.
And they always bullied me, and I was in the back arse of nowhere, up in a mountain, and like before every session, you would go out for like this friggin' 5-mile run, and then you would come back, and then you would do bags, and then you would spar, and there were some characters in the gym that would scare you for a 7-year-old to be going into that environment.
Yeah.
So I just said to my dad one night, I was like, "Look, I don't want to box no more." And I broke down in tears in front of him. I was like, "I don't want to box no more," because I knew that he would be angry because he wanted his sons to be fighters.
Yeah.
And then that club had closed down, and they moved to a different club which had a better structure and a better child protection for the kids, and a better system. So I went there. My older brother went there as well, and I loved it. I got back into boxing, and I absolutely loved it. I had loads of friends there. And then when I was 11 years of age, I won my first Irish title. And then I went 22 fights unbeaten in my first, up until my second year when I was around 12. I got beaten in the Irish final by Aidan Walsh, who is now an Olympic hopeful at 69 kg for Ireland. So, yeah. Right. So yeah, that's how I really got into boxing, and then from there on, I went to the European Championships when I was 13. I won 2 Irish titles that year, my Irish title and my cadets. When I was 14, I won an Irish title as well, beating another golden boy, Johnny Joyce. And then when I was 15, I kind of had an off year. Then I moved up in weight. And then when I was 16, I went to the World Championships. The World Championships at the under 18 level, so it was a year younger. And I didn't really perform well that year at international level, but I brought it back then the next year when I went to the Commonwealth Youth Games, whenever for Ulster, Northern Ireland, over in Samoa, and I won a silver medal there. And then I think that's just cemented my place as kind of an elite fighter, moving up the ranks into the seniors and the elites. And then I won the intermediates, which will be the seniors now. Went into the elites and got beat by Sean McComb. And Sean was the golden boy at 60 kilo for years. And but that got my foot in through the door with the national team. And that's when I started really developing around. I was around Mick Conlon, Sean McComb, Davey Oliver Joyce, Katie Taylor, so I was in around serious talent, and that's what brought me along, you know.
And in turn, being an Ulsterman, obviously, was Mick Conlon a big influence for you and your brothers as you were sort of developing your boxing career?
Yeah, it was a massive influence because Mick, like, we would have trained together as well on the Ulster team, because his father would have been the head coach of that, John Conlon. And so Michael was always up training in around us, you know, giving us tips. We were always watching him and stuff like that. And then when I went down to the national team down in Dublin, I was actually Mick's sparring partner for the 2016 Olympics. I was 60 kilo, he was 56. You know, and he was dealing with some of the 56s too easy, so he had to spar me at a heavier weight. You know, but I was learning loads off him. After the spars, I was going up to him and asking him, you know, what could I do better for the next spar?
Yeah.
I was trying, you know, I wanted to improve. I really, really, really wanted to improve. So I just asked him, you know, what can I do better, this and that?
What did he tell you?
What can I do better in training? And he was just saying, like, because amateur boxing is different from pro boxing. He was saying, like, feint more head movement. Don't be afraid to attack, you know, and especially against a fighter like him, you know, you are afraid to attack because he's so good at countering, you know.
He's brilliant.
He's letting you throw and then coming the inside of your punches. But yeah, I learned a lot in them years, and under the influence of Michael Conlon, you know, and learned a lot through his social side of things, and give all the young lads great tips.
It really just goes to show, like, how intricate the combat sports community is within Ireland. You know what I mean? Because I actually saw that your head coach was over in SBG Ireland doing a bit of boxing over there, and you were involved in Conor McGregor's camp for the Floyd Mayweather fight. How did that come about in the first place, and what was it like, and were you living the high life over there?
Oh yeah, like see, one of my good mates, Connor Wallace. Connor Wallace was McGregor's sparring partner for the Nate Diaz fight, the second fight. So I think when Connor was moving into boxing, he shot Connor Wallace a text and says, "Look, is there any sparring in Ireland for me that kind of would suit the Floyd Mayweather kind of way of style?" And I was always known for a very slick, unusual style and very elusive. So Connor was like, "Yeah, I know a guy. I'll send you his number." So then I get the text and was like, "Yeah, Conor McGregor wants to spar you," and I was like, "Good one." It was from my head coach, Adam Hunter, and I was like, "Conor McGregor wants to spar you," and I was just like, "Wise up, like, you're taking the piss out of me, you know." And he was like, "Do you not believe me?" And I was like, "No, I don't believe you." And he's like, and he showed me a text. He showed me like a screenshot of his phone, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Things got kind of real from there. And then I went down to Dublin, were put up in the Red Cow with two other sparring partners, and went in and sparred him the Wednesday, and then I sparred him again on the Friday. And we were supposed to do like, I thought we were only supposed to do maybe 5 or 6 rounds. We ended up doing 9 rounds the first day, and we ended up doing 9 rounds the second day as well. And after the second spar, he just turned around and said to me, "You're going to Vegas, kid." And I was like, "What?" So,
had you ever been to America? I know you've been nearly all over the world, you said earlier, but like, had you been in America?
Oh yeah, I'd been to America before that. Like, I was in Philadelphia, Kansas City twice, and I was in Florida as well. But yeah, I knew what to expect going to America. But like, for a 20-year-old kid to go to Vegas, with not a clue what's happening, and just arriving at Vegas airport, like on a flight, just out of business class, and you're like, "What the fuck is this?" Sorry from my language.
No, you can say what you want. You can say what you want.
You're never coming back on, but carry on.
And tell us, what was it like to spar Conor McGregor, and what is that left hand like?
Oh, you know what? We had some great spars, like, you know what I mean. Like, I was probably just a little bit. Like, as I was 20 years old. I was yet to come into my man strength, you know. So like, Connor was just coming to knock me out. You know what I mean? Ah, jeez. Hold on 1 second.
Jeez. Concierge there of the O'Rourke's gym. Open the door. 24/7.
I'm the doorman here. I'm known as the bouncer.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, he was coming to knock me out every spar, and I think what caught Connor's eye and why he wanted me in Vegas was that I was so elusive. It was very hard for him to catch me clean, you know. And a few times he did catch me clean, and I stood there and looked at him. But like inside, I was like, fuck, this boy can hit, like.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to put up a brave face because I knew if I sparred well, I was going to Vegas and I wanted to go to Vegas. So yeah, and I just don't know, I just have a big heart, so I just kept pushing and that's what caught his eye, was my eagerness and my heart. And but I absolutely love my style, you know. And I remember John Kavanagh turning around saying to me, he was like, I think you're the only person that's ever talked back to Connor in the ring. You know, Connor's always used to degrading his opponents in the ring, you know, talking to them and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, carry on. So John Kavanagh came over to you.
Yeah, so John came over to me and he was like, look, I think you're the only person that's talked back to Connor in the ring, you know, because like there was times where he was saying like dance for me, kid, you know, because I was always on the move, you know, because I'm elusive, you know.
Yeah.
And he would come into the center of the ring and he'd stamp his feet in the center of the ring and he'd go, dance for me, kid, you know. And I would just say back to him, I was like, I would take a step back and I would dance for him and I would go, oh, there you go, you know. And it was very entertaining.
Give him your best Michael Flatley impression.
Yeah, and there was times where the referee was kind of like, come on, fellas, let's spar, you know, because we were just flat out. And I think I earned my respect with Connor, you know, and I think that's what solidified my place going to Vegas, you know, because there were some sparring partners that weren't asked to go over, you know. It was kind of like a trial period for some of the sparring partners. And I think I was probably the best sparring partner out of them all. You know, I'd done over 55 rounds with Connor over the course of the camp. You know, and he had 3 or 4 sparring partners there. So I think I done fairly well. You know.
Yeah. How long were you there overall for? Like?
Well, I was in Vegas for 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Yeah, 8 weeks. I'm almost sick of looking at Vegas at this rate.
And what was the accommodation like?
You know what? The accommodation was amazing. Like, it was an 8-bedroom house. You know,
who else was in your house? Who were you staying with?
There was me, Franz Malambo, Tommy McCormick, Vasil Bria, who was a massage guy for Connor, Paulie Malnaghi, and I think that was it. Yeah.
What was it like to share the house with Paulie Malnaghi, and did he leave after the infamous spar?
So I was the one that was driving home after the infamous spar, you know, and I kind of just I knew it in Paulie's face that, you know, he was kind of pissed off himself that how the spar went, you know. Paulie was out of shape, you know what I mean, like, and Paulie's one of the best friggin' welterweights out there, you know, that's ever graced the ring. He's fought everybody.
Yeah.
And for him to come into that camp out of shape, I think was a bad idea, because he tried, like, Paulie wanted to prove something, that Connor doesn't belong in the boxing ring, and Connor wanted to prove that he does belong in the boxing ring. And for Paulie to go in there out of shape was outrageous, because Connor was in serious shape and he was probably all muscle compared to Paulie. And then after the spar, I just knew in Paulie's face he thought, frig, maybe he does belong in the boxing ring,
yeah.
You know. And I'm pretty sure whenever that photo came out, Paulie just left. He didn't want any part of it, you know.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. The picture shouldn't have went out, but it did. That's life, you know what I mean. You get shit on.
Yeah. It's just sell the fight more, to be honest, isn't it?
Yeah, it does, you know. And Like I have the, like Paulie, I have the most respect for Paulie, you know, and I'm sure Paulie would give Connor a good fight whenever Paulie's in good shape, but he was way out of shape during that camp. You know, there was times
All time dad bod.
yeah, but with the dad bod, like there was times where he was heading out like midnight into the strip, and then he would come back like the next morning, or he'd come back like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I'm pretty sure he was maybe out drinking, or he was out partying, or out meeting with a few friends, you know.
Yeah.
Another person.
Oh, here we go.
Look who
Roll
it
that
is.
again.
Hey,
Super
what's up,
Floyd.
guy?
How's the
Hey,
form?
man, how are you?
Oh, Jesus, Victor Robbie as well. Jeez, the whole crew.
The whole crew's there.
We have the whole crew in here.
Yeah, must be sparring time soon, is it?
Right, so like obviously that was like having gone to that camp for 8 weeks and you were there in Vegas. Was that like, right, this is my moment to shine? This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is you can now see the bigger picture, you know?
Yeah, well, it really opened my eyes to what the future was like and what big fights are like in Vegas. So like after that, it's funny enough. Like I was living the high life when I was over there, but I ended up taking a little break then after that.
Yeah.
But who cares? Like I'm back on track now, and I can't wait till show everybody what I have been working on the last 2 years. And I'm more hungry than ever. You know. More
Just one
hungry.
last question on that, Tiernan. Did you get a free ticket to the fight now with that sparring camp?
Oh yeah, we did. I got the fight. Funny enough, for the ticket that I got originally was a 10 grand ticket.
Jeez.
But like when we got there, we were upgraded to 15 grand ticket.
Jesus.
And I still have it. Like
were you rubbing shoulders with the slabs?
Funny enough, because we were actually on the second tier, so we weren't on the ground tier.
Yeah.
We were on the second tier, and the second tier was 15 grand. Like, so I can't imagine what the bottom floor was. But like before the fight, one of the guys that works for MacLife kind of brought me into the ground floor because I wanted to see the boxing ring. And so I kind of walked in, and I walked right up to the edge as far enough as you can go. And I was just sitting there looking at the boxing ring and blah, blah, blah. And I looked behind me, and there was like J-Lo and A-Rod. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Oh, wow.
And I look behind them, and I see LeBron James, and I see Chris Hemsworth and Jared Butler and Don Cheadle and Demi Lovato. And I'm like, oh, am I watching TV here?
Yeah, Jesus, yeah. That's the like,
Yeah,
creme de
like
la creme.
if you were making up slabs that were cool to be there, you'd probably say less good slabs.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember it was after the fight, and we were all just outside Connor's dressing room, and there was like a buffet outside the dressing room for like the promoters and stuff like that. But Don Cheadle, Chris Hemsworth, and Jared Butler were just standing there, and they were like, Jared Butler was absolutely pissed, and he had a massive beard, and he had like really long hair, like shaggy hair, and they were all like, Jared Butler and Chris Hemsworth were standing there, and they were huge compared to me, like they're big guys.
Yeah.
And then there was Don Cheadle, who's tiny, like standing beside them, and it was hilarious. And I was just thinking, even looking at Don Cheadle, I was thinking back to the movie The Guard.
Brendan Gleeson.
Yeah, with Brendan Gleeson, and it was just so funny. I was getting flashbacks. But it's like Jared Butler was sitting there, and he was just stuffing his face with like buffet food. And I remember just asking him a question. And I was just like, "Oh, how do you think he got on?" And he was like stuffing his friggin' mouth with like sausage rolls or something like that. And he was like, "What?"
Dribbling all over it.
How'd you get on? And then Chris Hemsworth stepped in, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I think he got on well." And considering he's not a boxer, you know, with my best Australian
accent. I love that.
Yeah. So, and then Don Cheadle stepped in, and he was like, "Yeah, I thought he done great." And then Jared Butler was just pissed, and he was like, oh yeah, Floyd was great, and the mad Scottish American accent, you know,
Yeah.
I was just mad Scottish, weird accent, and no, like that was me rubbing shoulders with the slams
A-listers,
group.
yeah.
Like even look, Imelda May was in. She sang the national anthem. Before I met her, and then Demi Lovato was obviously she was in as well, saying hello and stuff like that. But yeah, there were so many celebs. I'm pretty sure I seen Bruce Willis as well.
Jesus.
You know,
If
and
like looking back now, Tiernan, like what was like the best moment of the whole entire trip? I know it was 8 weeks, so it's hard to pick one, but like if you had to pick one, what was it?
flight home maybe.
Oh yeah. What was that like?
No, it was good to get home, but I would say probably just being there at the fight and taking in the atmosphere at the fight was huge. And I missed. You know what the funny thing is? I'll tell you a story now. I missed about the first 2 rounds of the fight because I was in the change rooms before the fight, and I got a phone call from Joseph Eubank, who is Chris Eubank Senior's son.
Yeah.
And I got a phone call from him on WhatsApp, and and I answered the phone. I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And it was Chris Eubank Senior, and he was out the front door, and he turned around and he said to me, "He goes, Tiernan."
Go for your accent.
I was supposed to come in with Connor's dad, Tony Senior, and he left without me. So I was like, okay, what do you want me to get somebody to get you in or whatever? Have you got a ticket? And he goes, I have no ticket, and blah blah blah. Ended up getting to the promoters and going to the front door, and I got Chris Eubank Senior into the fight for free.
Big pull, Tiernan Bradley, what?
Yeah, and he turned around and said to me, he goes, I owe you a big favor. Anytime you need a favor, I owe you it. So he owes me a big favor. And he was like, where am I sitting? And I was like, well, I don't know. I got you in here. Just go wherever and say you lost the ticket. You're Chris Eubank Senior. You could blag your way in anywhere.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
it's not like with me rocking up and like I lost my ticket. It's like right, you're out. It's like the most known faces in boxing. It's like
if you remember,
okay, we'll point some more for you.
If you remember, there was a video of a guy that got into the fight for free.
Yeah.
Remember the video of that? I was actually in that video, so it was like he's obviously recording ahead of him on a GoPro, and like he comes walking out of the elevator, and there's me and Chris Eubank Senior like walking past, you know, and we're having this conversation. And anyway, he ended up getting into the fight for free, and I'm pretty sure he got the ringside. I don't know how the hell he got the ringside, but
probably said he's working with Sky Sports. The next thing you know,
if you say anything with a bit of confidence, you get away with it, you know.
Yeah, well, exactly. If you're walking like Chris Eubank Senior, you'll get away with anything because he's an embodiment of confidence, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Also the suits and the accent on him, you're just like, obviously he's meant to be here.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, he's wearing a snakeskin jacket and snakeskin shoes and everything with a sheriff badge on.
Yeah. Like obviously, like Conor McGregor said last week that like he was going to fight Manny Pacquiao. Like obviously you're fighting this week. Would you'd be able to slip him an old DM and get on that card if that was to happen?
Yeah, like I probably would. I don't know if he's back in Ireland. He said he was back in Ireland. But yeah, I'm always up for a spar with him, and he knows that. You know, he probably, if there was ever going to be a second Mayweather fight, he would give me a shout. You know, but like I'm just concentrating on my own career at the moment. I don't need to be anybody's sparring partner.
Now, we were meant you be on the card, as in like to promote yourself going forward, as in you be on the undercard.
Funny enough, before the Mayweather fight, I turned around to Conor's management team and I goes, get me a fight with Justin Bieber on the undercard. You know, and you know what? You may laugh at it now, but
No, it just that came out of nowhere. That came out.
Yeah. in today's environment with the way boxing's going with like Logan Paul and KSI, you wouldn't put it past.
Yeah.
You know, some promoters, you know what I mean? And at that time, Justin Bieber had been training with Floyd Mayweather. So
yeah, but he was looking for that Tom Cruise fight.
Yeah, he was looking for Tom Cruise.
yeah, that's right. So
Yeah, but who knows?
I was there for that fight, you know.
Yeah, who knows? Like that, like obviously, like KSI and Logan Pauls and Jake Pauls and like Dylan Dennis and everyone's trying to get in that boxing game, but it's unreal. But like, bring it back to yourself. Like, obviously, you've been out for 2 years. Why now? Why this week? Why are you making your debut this week? And why should everyone tune in?
Well, you see, the last I had 2 years. Like I was in New York. I was due to start my boxing career over in New York, but things didn't work out. I ended up just living the life over there. I was working in a boxing gym over there, and I wasn't out of the boxing gym. You know, I didn't just take a break completely from boxing. I was still in the gym. I was still learning. I was still around the environment. I just didn't live the life as a boxer for a while, you know. But I needed that break. I needed the break from my own body, my own mind. And I think now, like this weekend, I would have been ready 6 months ago, but it's just unfortunate that I had to take this time, you know, with the whole pandemic and stuff like that. Now is the time, because I meant to have 3 fights at the start of the year that were cancelled, and they were big venues. And then I was meant to have a fight in Spain. Then after the whole pandemic was kind of eased down, so fight in Spain on the Victor Rabbi and Ren Rock show, but they didn't have enough spots on that show, and they only could do limited fighters. And then I was supposed to fight on 26th of September, but Spain's cases had risen a lot. That show was cancelled. So then Conor Slater was putting on the show in Poland. So yeah, this weekend I'm more than ready for it. As I said, like I was ready 6 months ago, but to be able to have that time now, and get sharp and be fit and just be in incredible shape, I think it'll just make everybody more excited. And I think the hype was just building and building and building, and everybody waiting for my fight to happen, because there was like, I was getting a fight and then I would put it out my socials, and I would say that I'm fighting, get ready, fight news soon, and then all of a sudden the no fight news. And everybody's like, but the hype was building, and then it'll lower down, and the hype was building. So I think it's just been building and building, and it's like a volcano being held back, you know, and I'm ready to explode this weekend. You know, I'm just from the start of the bell to the last. You know, I don't think there is going to be a last bell. I think it's just going to be a ding ding on the floor and get out of there.
A one and done.
You know, so I'm looking forward to it.
Tiernan, tell us this: where can we watch your fight on Saturday for those people sitting here watching this video at home?
Yeah, so I'm going to be sharing it on my Instagram page, and I'm going to be sharing it on my Facebook as well. And then in my hometown, there hopefully with the curfews and stuff like that, hopefully they don't go into level 5. It's going to be shown in a bar as well, in the Village Inn. So yeah, I'm going to be posting everything on my socials. So everybody should keep updated on my social media.
Yeah, we'll
make sure to shout it out, and we'll do an L swipe up if it's on the internet for you.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, thank you, lads.
Yeah, well, Tiernan, thanks a million for coming on the show, and best of luck to you and the lads going over there with a smash and grab. Ross, anything else to say before we wrap up?
No, just tell all the lads we're asked for them. Best of luck, and I'm sure you'll all walk out with a clean sweep, as always. O'Rourke's finest.
Thanks very much, lads.
All the best,
Thank you very much.
All right, Ross, so that was Tiernan.
Man, some unbelievable stories, no?
Yeah, but like the thing is, we've been following him for ages, and then like I remember when I first saw him when he was sparring McGregor, and I was like, who the fuck is that guy? And then like we've been following each other ever since, and then it was just perfect timing to get him on.
Yeah, 100% pro debut this Saturday. If you're watching this, make sure to definitely check him out. He looks like one to watch, as does the rest of O'Rourke's gym.
Yeah,
the boxing hub of Dublin, really, isn't it?
It is, and then like Also, Katie Taylor's just announced that she's back in action on the 14th of November as well. So that's something to look out for. But if you are new to the show and you're new to this, like, we do a combat show every week and cover MMA and boxing. So this week we had Tiernan on. We had Dylan Moore on a few weeks ago as well. So who knows what's coming up next week. But Ross, we're going into the world of MMA now. Bellator Milan happened over the weekend, being headlined by James Gallagher against Cal Elner. There was so much hype leading into this fight. Obviously, it was cancelled 3 times. It happened this weekend. We should start off. James, what a performance against Cal.
Yeah, it really, really was. We were sort of texting in the middle of the fight, and James' performance, it was such a vintage James Gallagher performance. It was like clockwork, really. He put in a beautiful shot, got the takedown, took his back. Once he puts in that body lock, you're going nowhere. And the rear naked choke is an eventuality at some stage. He got it in. Cal Elner tapped out. James left there relatively unscathed. Called for the belt afterwards. I wouldn't be surprised if he got it. If I was the Bellator matchmaker, I'd probably do Gallagher versus Bandejas too. And if he wins that, he fights Juan Archuleta. I just think there's a good story there with Bandejas for the belt, or before the belt.
Isn't it crazy how, like, young James is, but then he comes across as if he's so much older? Like, I saw a post out after that, like, the up and comers to watch out for Irish MMA is obviously James, he's 23, Ian Gary, who's 23, and then Paul Hughes is 22, I think I said. And I was just like, geez, James seems like so much older than them 2 lads. I don't know what it is.
Well, he's been in the mainstream media a lot longer for the last 5 fights, as opposed to the lads are sort of in their last 2 fights. They've been getting a lot of coverage. So I think that's where that comes from. I mean, he's headlined 4 or 5 shows. I think he's tied for. I think he's tied 3rd for most submissions in Bellator history. You know what I mean? Like, he's a trailblazer in itself. I think because he is that bit more cocky or arrogant, as people call him, that he, people sort of, some people have a disdain for him, some people love him. So he's definitely a more controversial figure out of the 3.
More controversial than Ian Gary?
I think so, because I feel like Ian Gary's controversial comments are only ever in good jest, if you know what I mean. As opposed to there's no bad blood there. But Ian Gary does like an controversial comment.
He does. But
Paul Hughes dots the I's and crosses the T's. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, the R3. The thing is, like, obviously when we were with James at FightCon, and then we got to see just what he was like around people more. So
he's actually a really nice, humble guy, isn't he?
Yeah, and like remember last time he was talking about how he had mental health problems and that he didn't know if he was going to be able to make the fight and stuff. And then we previously talked about how Rory McDonald was fighting in Bellator, and he said he didn't know if he still had it. And then, like, when a fighter says that, you sort of doubt that they still have that killer instinct. But James went in there and put on a masterclass, and before the fight we were like, oh, like, what's going to happen? And it didn't affect him, which is unbelievable for someone with so much pressure on him at such a young age.
Definitely.
Not even Conor McGregor had this pressure at that age. No,
not at all. It was an absolute beautiful performance. You could almost call it flawless, to be honest.
It was. We
if he was playing Mortal Kombat, that would have been flawless victory.
No, it was. That was extremely impressive, and long may it continue. Also, shout out to Charlie Ward, who got the win as well by decision. And then Kiefer Crosby. It was a doctor's stoppage after the first round. Shout out to Charlie Leary for getting the win. But I don't know what happened in this fight. Like, obviously we had Kiefer on last week, and he was saying it was the best he's ever felt. But it almost looked like he gassed out, like, in the first round.
Yeah, it really did. It looked like the gas tank wasn't what it was supposed to be. I think maybe, I don't know, I'm just guessing here, but maybe he thought that he's cut all the weight, that he'd automatically be fitter. But maybe that wasn't the case. He looked to be, on sort of his last legs after about 4 minutes. Now, who knows whether, he got hit to the body at some stage and, that took the wind out of him, or what happened. But look, it was definitely the best round of the night. It was an absolute brawl, and things were not going Kiefer's way. Let's be honest about it. If we were to be very honest about it, that was definitely at least a 10-9 round to Charlie Leary. And look, who knows? Thing is, anything can happen in MMA. Who knows if Kiefer shoots in on double leg and gets on top of Charlie Leary for the first 2 minutes of the second round? Does he get his gas tank back? Does he get his second win? Can he go again? It was a bizarre stoppage, from my opinion, because we've watched thousands of fights, and I've never seen someone look like that and then the fight gets stopped, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was very, very, very strange. And we both said if that was in the UFC, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I was listening to what's called the Punk and Big John McCarthy's podcast, and they're saying that it happened around the tear duct. So if that's not like stopped properly, you could have a problem with his eyes for the rest of his life. So I suppose it was a correct thing to do, but I know we were just both watching it and we were like, that was a bit of a strange stoppage.
I do think also in that stoppage, I thought he was getting stopped because the left eye was actually getting stopped for the right eye. So
yeah, it was.
Neither of us are doctors either, so like we can only just give our opinion as fans. And obviously, Kiefer wanted to keep going as well.
Yeah, let's see what happens anyway. But like, I mean, that was just really disappointing. We were just a bit like, oh no. But that's the thing with MMA. Like, you win some, you lose some, you just carry on. It's all about it's not over yet anyway. And then massive shout out to Sinead Kavanagh as well. Got a win as well that night. But Ross, this weekend.
Wait, Basmo. Hold the phone. Shout out to our boy Brian Moore on Thursday night, who also came out with an absolute stunning victory in Milan.
Actually, you know what? I didn't even have that card up, to be honest. Sorry about that.
That's all right. But all we need to say is shout out to Brian Moore. That performance was bloody epic, wasn't it?
Back and forth, to say the least. Fair play to Brian. And Ross, will we move into this weekend's card in Bellator?
Oh yeah, bring it on. Bellator France or Bellator Paris. This is the first ever legalized MMA event in France. That was historic. And it's headlined by, is it Czech Congo versus Timothy Johnson?
Yeah, for the second time.
I think what's most important is that co-main event is Ross Houston versus Michael Venom Page, two former guests of the show, two good friends of the show. Basmo, do you like when former guests of the show have to fight each other, or would you rather they fought someone else?
I actually has this happened before?
I don't think so. I think because we had Fabian and Will on, I thought maybe they were going to fight each other, but they didn't.
No, but like
this is an Energized first.
Yeah, Ross, man. Like obviously we had Ross Houston on the show before, and he was actually scheduled to fight Neiman Gracie, and that fell through. But now Ross Houston against Michael Venom Page. Ross Houston making his Bellator debut, former Cage Warriors champ. Like, what's there to say about MVP? What's there not to say about MVP? Just an absolute star. I'm going to put you on the spot. Like, what are you expecting for this weekend, Ross?
This is going to be a very, very interesting one. Obviously, we saw Ross Houston's most famous for that absolute war they had with Nicholas Dalby. The stop was called no contest because there was too much blood in the cage. I didn't know that was ever a thing, but it was a thing.
A bloodbath, one would say.
A bloodbath indeed. And then on the other hand, you have Michael Venom Page, probably the slickest striker on the Bellator roster. Definitely the most must-see fighter that they have on their roster. He is absolutely sensational. Yeah. We were at Bellator 200 when Dave Rickles just said, no mask, that's enough, thanks very much. It was one of the strangest stoppages you'll ever see to a fight, wasn't he? He just sort of walked off and said to the ref, actually, you know what? I've had enough, thanks. He wasn't even knocked down at the time. He was just, nah, it's fine. The caveman. Like,
my bus is here. I'll see you later, right?
Yeah. So Michael Venom Page is a bit of a funny one. A lot of people say, he's never bought or beaten someone upper echelon talent, man. The Paul Daly fight was a real letdown. So, look, very interesting to see Ross Houston coming in. No gimme fight to start off with. Yeah. Straight in with one of the elite. And Michael Venom Page wants to fight Lima for the belt. He wants that rematch. Yeah. So
Ross, there's also let me stop you there. There's also a bit of a back and forth between teams because like London Shoe Fighters, obviously based in London, and then Team Renegade based in Birmingham. There's beef between those two. Ross Houston has been training with Leon and Fabian in Team Renegade. So there's a bit more to the story than you could see,
There is indeed. I don't know how much beef will correlate through between MVP and Ross Houston, but Mike Shippen was Shoe Fighters and Fabian was Renegade, and they were massive rivals, and there was a bit of blood boiling over there between those two. It will be interesting to see will the beef come fight week, especially with all these people like quarantined in the one hotel. I'll be very, very interested to see it. But look, that co-main event could easily be a world title fight.
Yeah, I'd love to see 5 rounds of this.
So would I. So would I.
But I'm going to put you on the spot.
You're going to make me pick, is that it?
I'm going to make you pick first.
Look, Ross Houston is an absolute warrior. He has so much heart. There's absolute dog in him. He's also brilliant at all facets of MMA.
Yeah.
But there is just that thing with MVP that he has that venomous strike within him. Like what did that? Yeah. So I'm going to say MVP will win by TKO in the second round. I just feel like Ross Houston was like hittable against Dalby, and I feel like MVP will be able to, strike and get out, and I think that's how he'll get the job done.
Yeah, I think MVP is just in a league of his own with striking, and then Ross's best chance is to get in there and make it a dogfight the way the Paul Daly fight went. But also MVP ended up winning that as well, didn't he?
Indeed.
Yeah, so like everyone
knows. Paul Daly used loads of wrestling against MVP. And that made it interesting from a sort of tactical standpoint, but like made it shite from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, but I think that's Ross Houston's best opportunity. But here, look, Ross is there. Ross is going for gold in Bellator. Like, there's no warm-up fights for him. He's going all in, balls deep.
The other question is, in the main event, Czech Congo, if he wins, do you think he'll retire in the Paris cage, or do you think he'll actually call for a title shot in the Paris cage? Because I feel like he can do one or the other and sort of get away with it.
What happens if it's a draw?
Well, then Timothy Johnson is the winner.
Yeah, why not? Like, I mean, if Timothy Johnson wins, I think Czech will retire. If Czech wins, everyone's going to be hyped for him. So
he's calling out Bader.
Yeah, I think that's the move to make. What do you think?
I think so too. I was surprised that fight hasn't been made already. To be honest, Congo versus Bader. I thought that was like an absolute shoe-in, to be honest.
Yeah, sure. We'll see what happens. There's a couple of the Irish lads on this card as well. I just want to mention Kieran Clark's fighting, and also Dylan Logan's on the card. Our mate Ross Ilias Boulay is after getting rearranged. He's on this card as well. And then our former mate Melvin Manhoof's on the card as well. Do you remember you're walking around the back of Bellator and then you're like, blast, there's Melvin Manhoof. Jesus.
Yeah, but he was absolutely massive, and also he was eating all the food out of the buffet.
Yeah, that's the only reason where you're.
It's like quick, get to the buffet before Melvin Manhoof.
Exactly. But Ross, anything else to say about Bellator before we move on to the UFC news?
No, what's called best luck to Czech Congo this weekend, fighting in Paris. Hopefully he gets that Bader rematch, because first one was an eye poke. I was trying to think in the back of my brain what way that went down, and it was a no contest, so like that's no good. And then best luck to MVP and Ross Houston. We love both the guys, and hopefully we just get a very entertaining fight.
Here. Right, Ross, we're going to start off with the UFC from the weekend. Holly Holm defeated Aldana, and at 38, Ross, she's still going strong.
She is indeed. She, in her post-fight press conference, she said she's willing to take on all comers. And for me, I think that just means that her and Jermaine Duranby should do a rematch, and that can be a number one contender fight for Amanda Nunes for all I care. To be honest, I think, Jermaine Duranby was like, here, look, people don't like respect me enough, but I think people don't respect her because she blatantly ducked Cyborg, so therefore that's probably why people don't respect her. Well, I think her versus Holm is like a grudge match. I think it should be a main event as well, because I think people would love to see 5 rounds of that. I'd definitely hope for that. And then shout out to the natural born killer, Carlos Conde, getting back in the win column after losing his last 5. Who knows? Maybe that's who Nick Diaz comes out of retirement to fight, because they had an interesting 5 rounds back in 2014 maybe.
Also, Reece McKee called out that fight as well.
Conde versus Diaz.
No, himself versus Conde.
Oh, well, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that either. That'd be a scrap.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
Also, they're holding off what his announcement is, Reece McKee, and I don't know why. It's a bit of a strange one. I didn't want to DM and be like, are you going to tell us who it is? Because I don't know if I could hold it in, so sometimes you're better off not knowing.
Boy, what do you think it is?
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm very unsure of who his opponent is. So,
Well, do you think it's going to be something special?
well, like I think whoever he's fighting, I think is going to be a known name. Like he's not going to fight someone who's like also debuting in the or who's debuting in the UFC. I don't think.
Yeah. Well, we'll break it to people once we find out as well. But Ross, this weekend it is UFC Fight Island. It's being headlined by Marlon Moraes against Corey Sandhagen in the bantamweight division. You could say this is a number one contender spot. But Ross, what are you expecting here?
Yeah, well, interesting that Peter Yan hasn't been made. His fight still is yet to be made against Aljamain Sterling. There's still no date for that. If Sandhagen wins,
Dana seems to be putting that on the back burner.
Yeah, it seems to be some sort of issue with Sterling as well. That like he took a very long time saying Sterling was the number one contender, despite the fact being he's the very clear number one contender. Look, if Sandhagen wins, I don't think he can be the number one contender because he lost to Sterling. But if Marlon Moraes wins, he's beat Sterling, beat the Sun Tzu, then have beaten Sandhagen. He only lost to Henry Cejudo, so Marlon Moraes could definitely fight for the belt for the win here, and he could almost say he should be the number one contender ahead of Aljamain Sterling because he's knocked him out. So, look, if you ask me who I think is going to win, I think Marlon Moraes is going to win. I think he's got KO finishing power, and I think that could be enough to get the job done. And he's good all around the cage. Marlon Moraes' only issue in the past was the gas tank. So as long as his gas tank isn't ridden out, I think he could be the man to do it. He's also been in a lot more 5-round fights. I don't think Corey Sandhagen's ever been in a 5-round fight.
Yeah, like usually, you know me, man, I like to disagree with you, but when I was looking at this fight earlier, I was like, John Marlon Moraes has just sort of been there, and then like Corey Sandhagen let himself down against Aljamain Sterling. Remember, he got subbed like I think halfway through the first round. It didn't even really go that far from if my memory.
Yeah, we got absolutely backpacked.
Yeah. So like I think just the safe money would be Marlon Moraes to win this fight. But Ross, like in the featherweight division, Edson Barboza is taking on Makwan Amirkhani. Barboza lost his last fight, his debut in the featherweight division, didn't he?
Against Danny Ige.
Yeah. And then this is a huge fight for Makwan Amirkhani.
This is his biggest step up in competition, I think, ever for Makwan.
Yeah.
For me, I love Makwan, lovely fella. I remember when we were on Finnish TV screaming his name. But I must say, I actually think Edson Barboza is going to be too much from. I think too much on the feet and not easy enough to take down for Makwan to do the business on the ground. I think Makwan's going to have problems with those leg kicks, those body kicks, and I expect a TKO from Edson Barboza late in the first or sometime early mid-second.
Like Edson Barboza trains with Zavit, and like obviously he's training partners with Frank Yeager as well. I just think the caliber of sparring partners that Barboza has is just.
I actually he's moved, Basmo. You know, I actually use an ATT now. He's over like Dustin Poirier now.
So like he's basically different with people just as good, if not better.
Yeah. I actually think because I think the Florida lifestyle probably suited him better than New Jersey. I'd say.
John, I actually agree with that. But
yeah, the Brazilians tend to do better when they're over in Florida, to be honest.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna go for Edson Barboza. So we're actually agreeing on two fights, unfortunately, which is pretty bad. But Ross, one of your good friends, Ben Rothwell, is taking on Marcin Tybura on this card.
I knew you were going to say that. Big Ben. I'm backing Big Ben for the win, as always. He gave me a T-shirt one time in Ireland. Still have it. So anytime Big Ben fights, I'm going to cheer for him. Also, Tom Aspinall's fighting on this card. He's the English young version of Frank Mir. So watch out for him. He looked very dangerous last time we were here on Fight Island. I wouldn't be surprised if Tom Aspinall wins here if he goes, Dana, can I stay on Fight Island and fight again? A la Kazmat.
Yeah. Well, that's
why not? Well, I do think if you're a heavyweight fighter and you win very, very early on, with the way the fight world is at the moment, you should ask, can I fight someone again on Fight Island? Because why not? You don't have to make weight.
Yeah, and also you get to stay in the nice weather, and you're already quarantined, so you don't need to worry about as much stuff.
Yeah, but just say he gets like 50 grand or something. Like, why not earn another 50 grand in 3 weeks' time? Like, you're there and you're ready.
Yeah. So like this weekend we have Bellator on in France.
Yeah.
We have UFC on in Fight Island, and then obviously the lads fighting in Poland and boxing. So we're going to make sure we have streams for the boxing. Like the Bellator stuff is easy enough to do, but like it's not overly easy to get. But if anyone needs any links or anything, just get onto us, and then everyone knows how to sort out the UFC stuff. But Ross, another episode on the can, another week of crack. It was great to have Tiernan on as well.
And when I see you on Wednesday, I'll give you that UFC glove, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So thanks a million for tuning in, guys. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And as always,
Stay energized.